If I were to be honest, a part of me, a small part of me wants to say, I'm sorry for what I'm about to say. And not sorry for the reasons you might imagine. I wouldn't be insinuating that I feel bad for what I'm about to say. It's just that I feel sorry in a sense that what I'm about to say is actually true. It's a reality for many a people, or seemingly a reality. Because reality at the end of the day is what you get used to, right? Because what you get used to, what you get accustomed to becomes the flavor of your experience. It becomes your signature in terms of energy, what you emit, what you experience within yourself, because we never really experience the world, at least not in the sense that we think of the word world or what the word world represents, right? The world is our surroundings, fine. But you don't really experience the world. You experience yourself. Although now we are susceptible to external influences, we think that the world controls or dictates how we experience ourselves, and so we tend to feel as though life is beyond us, that we have no control. Yeah, that's true. We don't control things outside of us. Hence, we don't experience the things outside of us. We experience, what we think of as experiences is merely ourselves. We experience ourselves. And so what I want to say is this: if you ever found yourself, or if you ever happen to find yourself finding comfort in a decision you made based on fear, that's to say a decision which was fear driven, although this might have happened unconsciously. And how would you know this? Well, you would know if a decision was tied to some survival need. Because yeah, nowadays, apparently, we have to do what we have to do. And that's no coincidence. It was by design. Fine, we are here. Perhaps there is no changing that, but I refuse to believe that. And so if you find yourself living comfortably within such a decision, then you will never find the things that we unconsciously search for in worldly possessions, in worldly matters. You will never find fulfillment. You will never find peace of mind, freedom of mind, and ultimately freedom in general, because it's tied to your mind. Your mind is for the function of condition. It's a directing tool as to how you're going to experience yourself. You can train it to allow you to experience reality in a certain way. But now if you happen to find yourself in a situation whereby you had to do what you had to do, and now there is no coming back from it, because now you are too used to it and you know nothing else, mainly because you never took the time to actually get to know not who you are, but what you are and what you are capable of as life, prior to any labels which we've been taught, which in fact have been imposed on us. And so you believe if you cannot fit into those, I don't want to say profound titles, but obviously they've been painted that way. You know, if you don't have degrees and whatnot, then you don't actually have value. Well, that's a lie, but obviously that's not really the subject of discussion. And the subject of discussion is this: you are required by life to let go of limitations, to let go of the illusion of survival, that you need to survive, like we so often hear that it's survival of the fittest. What are we surviving, really? I know we are surviving ourselves because we've been conditioned to behave in a certain way, to lead our lives in a certain manner, which is destructive to overall life, especially in the long haul. We doing damage to ourselves and ultimately do damage to all things around us, because life begins with us. And so if we were to get along, then you'd have to get along with the life that you are. Stop resisting it. Begin to flow. Begin to love, because love is flow. I've said that before, and I'll keep saying that. I'm trying to send a message, you see? And the message is simple. It's fundamental. Hence, it's true. Unlike the lies that we find comfort in. We find comfort in these lies because we are not alone in them. And that's why community is so powerful. But what's the point of community if the community is rooted in hell, basically? Because the state of survival is hell. Living in fear is hell. Hell is not some far off place which you will be subjected to when you die. Nobody knows what happens beyond that. Let's talk about the things which are happening. You've been separated from your own, from yourself as life. They created an identity, and I'm not going to say who's they, but everything around us is designed to keep us distracted, and that's connected to this false identity that we often confuse for what's truly us. And quite frankly, I'm tired of that bullshit. It is bullshit. My apologies for strong language. It's just that nowadays I tend to find myself getting passionate about such subjects. I care for whatever reason. I don't have to question the reason. The thing is, we've made it a thing to question ourselves. And when I say ourselves, I'm not talking about the mental nonsense, the noise in the mind that we often contemplate, which is really rooted in survival because we want to survive, right? Hence, we are always agitated. To let go of that is to allow yourself to actually follow your excitement, and not your impulsive excitement, which is a byproduct of your conditioning. The conditioning, which is an imprint upon your mind based on past experience. I'm not referring to that. I'm referring to your, I don't want to say instinctual, but what's the word? Spontaneous aspect of being. Yes, that's what I'm referring to. Being spontaneous in who you are, and you will feel the ease that comes with that. Life is hard when you are not yourself because you are resisting. You are resisting what's meant to be. Maybe the resistance is happening for a purpose. It's like life is holding you back from actually being what you are not, while at the same time you are actively resisting yourself from being live by trying to be what you're not supposed to be. By listening now to people and allowing people to determine who you are. Which, by the way, is the reason behind your lack of peace. And I'm not going to say peace is the highest goal. The goal is life. It's as simple as that. You can do anything as long as it doesn't cause harm to life, but instead enhances life, then go on ahead. Otherwise, you just basically living as an animal. Yes, we are part animal, I guess you could say, but that's only our means of existing. I mean, we eat like animals, we procreate like animals, we fall in love and mate like animals. But we have choice. We can choose to go to space. We can choose to be in love. But then we can choose to operate from a place of fear, which most animals do. In fact, it's a state of being. It's a normal state of being for animals. But you can choose something a bit higher. And that happens when you acknowledge the fact that there's a higher power. That what you see is not really the full picture. In fact, it's far from it. And until you embrace that fact, the part of you which you cannot see, but you can feel it, right? It's just that it has been polluted so much because you've allowed that to happen. And of course, we are born into families, and these families have accumulated so much traumas and conditioning. Then they foist that conditioning upon you from a very early age. And so by the time you're 15, you are worse than your parents in terms of fear, in terms of what they believe. But maybe, just maybe, you manage to remain open-minded and saw yourself bigger than what was imposed upon you. Then yeah, you might have a higher chance of finding yourself quicker with less effort, so to speak. But let's say that's not you. Let's say now you're deep in it. You're deep in the shit. All the answers you have are found in your so-called problems, the things that we often resist, the things that we feel bad about. There's a reason you're feeling bad about that particular thing. Talk to yourself. Talk to the life force within you. Ask it to guide you. Have a relationship with life. Pretend as if the air is alive. It's actually guiding you. And be sure to cultivate silence. Enough silence, sufficient silence within yourself so that you can receive. That's to say, open yourself. Open your mind. And with that being said, looking at the time, love and light.